Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be sharing with you my current everyday winter makeup routine. Now honestly, when I get the chance and when I don't have to film, I feel like in the winter time especially, I like to just kind of leave my skin as is, and I'll do some sort of hydrating treatment on my skin. But on the days that I want to wear makeup, I've been recognizing a trend with what I've been reaching for. So I thought I would show you guys exactly what I am using. So I've got all of my everyday wintry products in one of my small everyday bags. I will have this link down below if you guys are interested, but it fits an everyday amount of makeup for me personally perfectly in this bag, which is so nice, especially if I want to keep, my current most reached for products in one spot, if that makes sense. So we're just gonna get right into it. I have been really enjoying this all over again recently. I talked about this on my channel before, but I already applied this on my skin. It's the Kinship Self-Reflect Probiotic Moisturizing Sunscreen. And the reason why I really enjoy this, not only is it a physical sunscreen, which is something that I prefer for my acne prone skin, but the formula is really hydrating, I feel like. So I wear this on days where I'm not wearing makeup, and then it works beautifully underneath makeup as well. So I just put this on as my last step in my skincare routine. So I thought I would share that with you guys because I do feel like skin prep is an important part of winter makeup since everything gets really cold and dry. At least where I live, everything is so cold and so dry right now. My lips especially get dry, which by the way, I did throw on this Pixi Collagen lip gloss because my lips are feeling so dry, but I will show you guys my current go-to product for when I want hydration, but I want it to complement my makeup look, but we'll get there in a minute. First things first, we're actually going to start off with complexion. That's typically what I like to do with an everyday look. If I know I'm going to be doing an eye look, I always start with the eyes, but for today, I'm just going to start with the complexion. And honestly, I have been absolutely loving this still. I've talked about this so many times. The ColourPop Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Hydrating Foundation is such an amazing foundation, you guys. I love how it looks on my skin. I love how it wears on me. I'm personally mixing the shades Fair 25W with Light 40N, but I believe my perfect match is Light 45N, I think. I'll have that one linked down below, but I mix the two and it creates a really nice shade for me. For an everyday look, I try not to go too overboard with complexion. So I'm just gonna apply this with a fluffy brush all over the skin. And I'm gonna work in light layers. For more glam occasions, I definitely love to build this up a little bit, as I find that it still wears really well, never looks heavy on the skin, but you can build up the coverage so beautifully to where it really complements more glam looks on the eyes especially. But for today, I'm just gonna kind of buff this over the skin, and I'm choosing to use a pretty fluffy brush. I actually think this is meant to be used for bronzer. Yeah, this is the Cosmetics bronzer brush, but I feel like a brush like this that's a little bit fluffier, when you use it for foundation, it kind of distributes the product a little bit lighter and helps it just buff into the skin. I'm really happy with the coverage that that's giving right now. I'm just gonna go into my sponge. And this one in particular is from Hailey's Beauty. I'm just gonna take what's left on the back of my hand to create a barrier so that I don't lift up too much of the coverage that I want. But I'm just gonna take this and press the foundation into the skin all over the complexion. This foundation has been one of my favorites for every day. Again, because it is hydrating, but it's not so dewy to where it slips and slides on the face. I feel like I can definitely get away with a little bit more of a dewy foundation in the winter because there's not the hot weather to kind of melt it off. But for me, this is the perfect in between. It's something that still stays as far as longevity goes on my skin, but it's never drying. It never clings to dry areas, which is something that I usually experience in the winter time. And yeah, my skin just feels and looks overall very balanced throughout the day every time I use this. I absolutely love that foundation. The concealer I wanted to use today is one that I've been reaching for nonstop. This is the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer. I'm going to be using the shade Fair Beige, and I'm going to use this to brighten up the under eye area. And I'm actually just going to go directly back in with my sponge to blend this out. Normally, you guys know I like to blend out my concealer with a brush, which still works in the wintertime, obviously. But if you're just trying to like cut down a couple of steps and save some time, just going in with a damp sponge works really well. And I also find that it works really well in the winter because you're using a damp sponge immediately. It kind of mixes in the water from the sponge into that concealer formula. So for me, it just kind of leaves a dewier finish. It kind of makes it feel and look more hydrated. So that's why I'm doing that today. I'm just gonna take what's left on my sponge and apply it to the eyelids. This does not have to be perfect, but I just wanna kind of cancel out any discoloration on the lids. This is where I'm also going to add a tiny bit of concealer over blemishes that are more obvious in the T-zone of my face. Any other blemishes on the skin, I feel like the foundation does a good job at like covering up, so I'm not going to be too concerned about creating a fully flawless complexion. I feel like that's one of the things that kind of adds to the everyday vibe, is just allowing a little bit of your true skin to show through, whether that's freckles or a little bit of discoloration or a little bit of texture. It's not a big deal if something like this isn't completely camouflaged. And again, I personally prefer it that way because I feel like that makes it look more realistic when you can still see parts of your skin showing underneath your foundation. All right, this next product I started reaching for a couple of weeks ago and haven't put down. This is another product that I used to use all the time, but you guys know how it is. When you buy new makeup, you kind of put new things into rotation. But for wintertime, I feel like this is especially amazing. This is the Jouer Soft Focus Hydrate and Set Powder, and I have mine in the shade Fair. I believe they just barely launched this in a translucent color, so I will have to try that on another day. But for now, since this is the one that I genuinely have been using, I'm going to use this in this tutorial. So I am just going to take that and press it underneath the eye area. Now this does have a little bit of color to it, so it's nice because it's going to help kind of brighten up the under eye area even more. But there's something about using this powder to set the T-zone that not only makes your skin look airbrushed, but there's something about this formula that's really hydrating. And so even though I'm applying it and you can kind of tell that it's a powder because it's setting everything, every time I wear this, after a couple of hours of having it on my skin, it truly just melts into the complexion so beautifully. I feel like it's also another product that just keeps the skin looking really balanced, in my opinion. I do tend to get a little bit oily in the T-zone. I honestly don't get too oily in the winter months, again, just because it's freezing and so dry where I live. But the oils that do show throughout the day are so balanced when I use this powder. I do feel like I get a little bit dewy, but it's never ever oily looking. I really don't have to touch up with powder either. But if you are somebody that does get a little more oily, this is also a really great touch-up powder. So yeah, I'm just setting the T-zone today. I feel like I've been really enjoying just to do that on an everyday basis because I feel like that ColourPop foundation actually sets pretty nicely. It's not too tacky of a formula, so I'm fine usually with just setting the T-zone. Plus I use powder bronzers that will kind of set the outer portion, which is what we're going to do next. I kind of re-fell in love with this after filming my Fenty Beauty video the other day. I love so many bronzers, but I have been using this one nonstop after that video because it is something that for my skin tone works so beautifully. This is the shade Into Sun and it's the Sunstalker bronzer from Fenty. I love how this looks on my complexion personally because you guys know I can be pretty heavy-handed with bronzer. But this one is just the right shade for me and my skin tone, and especially in the winter time where I'm not really trying to look sun-kissed or tan, honestly. This is the perfect product to just warm up my complexion. It has the most beautiful tone and undertone, and it's a matte formula, so it's really foolproof if you have texture or anything like that. It's not going to emphasize anything. So I'm just going to go ahead and kind of press this on the perimeters of the face, up on the forehead, the cheeks. And I've also been kind of going across the nose, not doing like a contour or anything, but just kind of going across the front of the face just to bring a little bit of color into the center. I also always like to take a little down the neck and along the jawline. Okay, so this is where I also like to go back in with my sponge and just kind of press the edges of the bronzer to add back that hydrated look using the sponge. Okay, next up, I have been absolutely loving this product right here since trying it a couple weeks ago. This is the Pixi Nuance Quartet face palette, and I personally always reach for the shade Honey Nectar, which is this. Now, this does have a bronzer in it. I tried the bronzer and it's a really beautiful color, but again, for me personally, for a winter look, I prefer to use something a little bit lighter on my skin tone specifically. But of course, you could use this bronzer in the palette as well if you wanted to. The reason reason why I love using this is for these two pink colors right here. So I'm just gonna go into the blush color, which I think is called Nectar, and I'm gonna smile and just apply this to the apples of the cheeks. This is the most beautiful bright pink blush. It adds just the right amount of warmth to the skin, but it still looks like a wintry flush in my opinion, which I really like. So I'm just gonna build that up. I personally really love a good blush, so I'm building it up a little bit more than some people might, but I'm also gonna take that across the nose, again, to just kind of create a little bit of color and health in the center of the face as well. You can also take it and go lightly on the forehead and even on the chin if you want to, but obviously we're focusing it on just the cheeks. And then I actually take the same brush and I dip into this right here. This is called Ambrosia, and it's the most beautiful pinky golden blush topper slash highlight. So I just apply this kind of over top of the blush, a little bit higher to act as a highlight as well. But this layered on top of that blush is seriously stunning, especially throughout the day as it melts into the complexion. I love how this looks on the skin. And then that way you don't have to even use a highlighter, which is nice. Usually in an everyday routine, I try to cut corners a little bit because it means that I'll save time, you know, which is always important if you're doing a routine every day and you just need to get ready. But isn't that such a pretty combo? I love it. I think it looks so fresh. It leaves my skin looking hydrated still, but also kind of gives a little bit of life and health back to the cheeks with that pink color. So now I'm just gonna take the powder brush and kind of press into the brows just to make sure that it's not too oily for when I fill in my brows. I'm just gonna use my Benefit Precisely My Brow Pencil in the shade 4 to fill in the brows really quickly, and then we'll do the eyes next. So I'm just gonna do this off camera because you guys know it can take me a while to do my brows and it's not exactly the most interesting to watch, so I will be right back after my brows are filled. All right, so after the brows are filled in, we're gonna do a quick eye look. Anytime I'm doing an everyday look, I like to use the face products that I have on hand. I think it's just the easiest way to create an eye look that matches what you have going on. So I'm gonna use bronzer. I'm actually gonna use the same Fenty bronzer and just take a fluffy eyeshadow brush and start to just create a little bit of a shape in the crease with this. Bronzer on the eyes as eyeshadow has always been one of my favorite tricks for super quick definition that again ties in with the makeup that you have on the face, since it literally is the same makeup that you have on your face. I'm gonna take a bit of that and just go underneath the lower lash line for a bit of definition there. And then I always like to take my blush usually, so I'm gonna go back into that Pixie palette and just create a little bit of something up in the crease as well. This is a really bright pink color, so I'm gonna try to go a little bit lighter with this, but again, you'll see how it just ties everything in together. And I actually have been even taking this color right here on some days, and I will literally apply this to the eyelid since it has a bit of that golden shift. I think it looks so pretty on the lids. So on days where I really need to just get something on the eyes, this is such an easy way to create a foolproof eye look that honestly matches what I have on the skin. But if I have a little more time, I have been really enjoying to add something special to the eyelids, which is where this comes in. I just recently picked this up, but it's so pretty, especially for every day actually. This is the Bodyography glitter pigment in the shade Spirit Quartz. This is one of their newest shades, and the reason why I have been loving it for every day is because it's a little bit of a sheer formula, but it has that peachy pink shift to it and a little bit of gold as well. So I feel like when it's applied over top of the simplest eye look like the one that I have today, it just makes it look so much more special. So I'm going to take a brush and just start pressing this onto the lid. Ideally, I would love to use my finger to apply these, but my nails are just too long right now. So just know that if you do end up trying these Bodyography pigments, I have personally found that they apply more pigmented with your fingertips, but we're just making it work today with what I have. So I'm just applying that all over the lid, and I'm taking my brush and kind of pressing that on so that there's minimal fallout as well. I'm also going to drag that into the inner corner to brighten that up a little bit. I feel like it's so hard to capture this specific shade of glitter pigment because it really does have the most gorgeous pink shift to it, but it's really subtle. I don't know if the camera is going to pick it up, not even in the pan. I don't know. I'm trying to show you the shift, but just know that it has a really special pink shift when you turn the eyes, which I absolutely love. When it comes to everyday looks, I feel like I always end up going back to my Thrive Cosmetics liquid Lash Extensions mascara. I actually really enjoy the shade Crystal, which is their black brown shade. I love this one for more soft looks or for everyday. I mean, obviously I love the original black mascara as well, but this one I feel like is just a little bit softer. It's obviously dark enough to where it still defines the lashes perfectly, but every time I want just that softer color to the lashes, I reach for the black brown shade. So I did get a little bit of mascara on the eyelid, which typically happens with me. So I'm just gonna wait to dust that off. We're gonna move on to lips. I have been really enjoying either one of these colors. Well, honestly, first of all, I should say that another product I've been really enjoying as far as formula goes for the lips, especially if I know I'm gonna be wearing a mask, is actually the lip blushes from Kylie Cosmetics. I recently purchased the Kendall and Kylie lip blush collaboration color, which I looked on the website and it's not available anymore. So I'm not going to use that today because obviously you can't get it. But just know that the lip blush formula has been awesome for underneath masks. It doesn't transfer at all. And I feel like it's not nearly as drying or as heavy as like a liquid lipstick. So I'll have them linked down below if you want to check out that formula. But again, I'm not going to be wearing one today because the one that I've been loving isn't available anymore. So anyway, my second option, if I know I'm not going to be wearing a mask, usually that means I want something super hydrating. So I will either leave it at a lip balm. I've been really enjoying that collagen lip gloss from Pixi. I also really love my Kopari lip glossy. But if I want some color and something to kind of tie in the rest of the look, because I feel like if I go this far with a makeup look, I want my lips to match. So I'm going to first start out with the Milani Color Statement Lip Liner in the shade 03. I honestly rotate between 3 and 4. I'm going to sharpen this a little bit. I've been using it a ton. But this is just like a My Lips But Better kind of a lip liner. Just basically use anything close to your natural lip color. And I'm just going to use this to create a little bit of definition along the edges of the lips. And then I kind of like mash my lips together to blend in the color over the rest of the lips. But I don't necessarily fill in the lips with this because I'm just going to go over top of it with this right here. This is the Bite Beauty Agave Plus Intensive Lip Mask. And this is the shade Buzzed. So it's a pink with a little bit of a gold shift to it, which again kind of matches the theme of the rest of my makeup. So I like to take this and just apply it with my finger all over the lips instead of wearing a gloss on the lips, which would also work with this look. But I feel like it's nice to be able to wear something that's literally a lip mask. And since it has a tint to it, I feel like it really kind of looks like you are wearing a gloss, or it looks a little bit more makeup-y because it tints the lips. But you're getting that insane treatment and hydration, which is what I really love about this. So now I'm just going to step back and assess the situation. I'm actually going to take a little more blush and just apply that onto the apples of the cheeks again. Before I forget, let me wipe away the mascara marks on the eyelid. I'm also going to go back in with my powder brush and just kind of make sure that the T-zone doesn't have any eyeshadow fallout and that the edges of the blush right here aren't too intense. I just kind of want them to fade into the cheek area. And then this next step is optional, but I have really been enjoying the Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray from Charlotte Tilbury. Now this works really well for more glam looks, but if you do want to wear a setting spray on an everyday basis, especially if you already did your makeup, you might as well lock it in with a setting spray so it lasts a little bit longer. So I'm just going to use this. You can use your favorite setting spray if you're following along. I'm just going to cover the whole face in this. I'm going to use my handy fan. And then once it's almost dry, I just go back in with the sponge I was using and press the setting spray into the complexion. And this is going to get rid of any leftover powder that might be sitting on top of the skin. It's just going to help also mesh the products down into the skin a little bit more so that they look extra hydrated and they feel extra lightweight on the skin. I always love doing this after setting spray for that reason. And then as always, I like to set the brows with my Benefit 24-Hour Brow Setter just to lock the brows in place. Alright you guys, so that completes this makeup look for my everyday winter makeup routine right now. I feel like the overall goal for me is to feel like my makeup is lightweight and hydrated, but also I want to feel pretty, obviously. So I feel like this helps my skin look fresh. I feel like I don't feel like I'm wearing a ton of makeup, so it just feels like a good, solid everyday routine that really fits the state of my skin and my lips too, since my lips get so dry during the winter. So yeah, I hope you guys found that helpful. I would love to know in the comments down below if you have a current go-to makeup product for winter that you tend to reach for more often. So please leave that in the comments. If you're new here, hi, my name is Allie, and I would love for you to join the family. You can do so by hitting the subscribe button. And if you're already a subscriber but you want to be notified on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, click on the bell after you subscribe and you'll get a notification every single time I post. That's it for me today. I hope you guys have an amazing day wherever you are. I hope you are staying safe and staying cozy. It's snowing like crazy outside here, so I'm definitely going to be trying to stay warm and cozy today. But thanks again for coming back to my channel and for watching my video, and I will see you in my next video. Love you. Bye!